feel like I'm double.
Hey.
Hey, welcome to Live to Roll, Rolling with Golden Oldies. I'm Ellen Stohl. I have been a wheelchair user for, you probably know this if you've tuned in before. I have to think about it, 41 and a half years. I forget.
Great.
I'm Mickie Fowler, and I've been in my chair 40 and a half years. So mine was January of 84. Wasn't yours January also, but of 83.
Yep,
What a,
yep, January of
yep,
83.
yeah.
Okay, I'm Michele Altamirano, and I've been a C67 quad since 1989. So I'm going on 35 years,
Wow.
and glad to be here with you guys today.
We are all close. That is a lot of years between us, ladies. We are a
Really?
lot of years. And so today's episode is really about disability pride. And I guess my first question would be, how long did it even take for you to call yourself disabled? I mean, did you right away just like
Very
I am
long.
disabled? Or
No, it didn't take me very long. I didn't like the word handicapped. And then, of course,
Yeah.
we used to joke about being, a crip or a gimp or something. But the thing is, I still have a problem with my pride. So when we talk about disability pride, is like I'm still sometimes too prideful. Like, oh my gosh, I want to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
I see all these women walking around like, why can't I be like them? So it's my pride. And after all these years, it's still difficult
Yeah.
sometimes to be different.
Absolutely. It really is. I'm not sure if the pride is necessarily in the disability, but the pride is in what I've managed to do in spite of my disability. Because I am not my disability. I am me, and I happen to have a disability. So
That's
I
right.
think it depends on how you look at it. Yeah. What
no,
about
I
you,
think
Ellen?
I would just think I think it's really tough. We live in a society that has so much systemic ableism, that we're
Yeah.
taught that anybody who isn't superior. I mean, I think for me, and I really believe this, that all isms, that ableism is the source of every other ism. So it is
Yeah.
the source of sexism, the source of racism, the source of homophobia, because ableism is the belief that there is a superior way to be, right? That there's
Yeah.
a superior
Hmm.
way to function, a superior way to speak, a superior way to
Absolutely.
look. And so, what is racism? There's a superior way to look and be. What is sexism? There's a superior way to look and be. But for
Hmm.
me, again, I mentioned this before, I didn't even know I had bias about disability. I meant and knew people with disability until I myself became one, and that term just became so synonymous to me with, like you said, damaged, less than,
Hmm.
and it took me a long time to, well, I mean, not that long. I posed for Playboy 4 years later, but that was also just, my posing was part of my journey of realizing that my body had changed, but I hadn't. That, in
Yeah.
fact, everybody will experience disability. I mean, we're born disabled. So I think my pride
Absolutely.
now comes from the fact that, like you said, Michelle, I everybody will be disabled, but I have just experienced it earlier and learned to adapt. And I think my pride is in my flexibility and adaptability. And
Absolutely.
but like you, Mickey, it is hard because the media, pounds us with the idea of tall, thin women in heels walking, and that we're supposed to
Yeah.
look this way and act this way, that talk this way. And I
Absolutely.
am, I'm not going to be walking in high heels anytime soon. And
Yeah.
so we're always, I think every woman is struggling with that, but I think having a visible impairment magnifies it.
Yeah.
So I think
Absolutely.
it took me a while, but I think it's always a continuing process, especially if we add aging to the mix, because in
Oh yeah.
America, older women are, seen
Well,
as
like
disabled
Michelle,
in a different way.
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
Michelle said, I have a lot of pride in what I've accomplished in 40 years being in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
Raising a family. I've had a part-time job. I've traveled a lot. I've been a mentor. So there's a lot of things that I'm really proud of myself for doing, being disabled. So I think that's what we need to emphasize more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Leah asks a question, what advice would I give younger women? My advice would be to focus on who you are. What are you
Absolutely.
interested in? What are your passions?
Yes.
How can you achieve those with whatever impairment you have? I think what really brought me back to myself was I was told literally in the hospital I could not be an actor anymore. They would not, Department of Rehab would not send me to school because that was not a viable career for a disabled person, right? And I believed that. I believed that disabled people couldn't do things. But when I discovered that
Absolutely.
the packet had changed, but who I was didn't. My strengths were still there, my weaknesses were there, my skills were still there. When I realized that who I was not how my body functioned, then
Hmm.
I became to understand my body and adapt to it. So I would think that for young women dealing with it, try to block out some of the social noise about perfectionistic bodies and really focus on what makes you shine, because true beauty is about being confident in your skills and in your ability and in yourself. You can look like your hair is not done, no makeup on, and people will be drawn to you because you have
Yeah,
confidence. Confidence is actually one of the most powerful connectors of all. So find what makes you feel good about you and what makes you feel confident and focus on that.
That's
yeah.
perfect. Perfect advice.
Mhm. And I think too is that, when you're young and disabled, it's like it seems like your whole world has shut down. And we're bombarded by all these things that we hear and see and all of that. So that becomes a major obstacle. In your mind keeps you back from doing things more than other physical barriers. So until you kind of start to let go of, listening to everything and listening to your own voice, your own inner voice, and, working towards discovering what you can do now, don't be afraid to try. You don't know if you're going to be able to do anything until you try to do it. So, if you keep saying, well, I'm not going to even try because I can't do this or that. Well, no, you're never going to do it if you don't try. But, you can discover wonderful things by trying out new things and all of that. And that kind of opens your world, in your mind. And you start to feel, as Ellen said, more confident, and you're not as afraid to try new things, meet new people, put yourself out there for dating if that's your thing. And so as you start to open your mind, I think you open yourself to many other opportunities rather than just kind of just thinking of all those negative things that you can't do.
It's
Yeah.
hard. It's not easy. I mean,
No, not at all.
but there is so much technology now. There's, the power assists on manual wheelchairs so that you can go further and farther and not blow out your arms. They have the third wheel that you can put on, or that wheel thingy, so you can go hiking. You can. There is just so much technology that makes going out and doing things more accessible, even at higher levels of injury. There's that tank thing. I've seen that you can go on the beach with you. Wheel. I know that
Oh yeah.
Triumph often has events where you can go try it out, but you can go over rocks. I mean, so the
Mhm.
technology has really opened up opportunities that might not have been there before. But
Absolutely.
I would say, if you like wine tasting, take a wine tasting class. I took a
Absolutely.
great class with Bobby Rohan, and yes, it was up 4 stairs to get there. Right, it was 4 stairs to get there. Bobby and I both in chairs, both quads. We're like, what the hell? The whole group just popped us up the stairs, and then we
Just
did the
do it.
wine
Yeah.
tasting. I mean, people
Yeah.
are predominantly really helpful if you're
Absolutely.
out there and want to try it. And I think that that gives you confidence, because when you do something you didn't think you could, you gain more confidence. So,
Yeah.
but it's not easy. The voices, I mean, I
No.
hear them. I'm, 60 now and in a wheelchair and single, and you're like, oh, who's ever, like, it's
Mhm.
hard to block out the noise no matter what
Yeah.
your age. But when I do the things that I love, that's when I shine. That's
Yeah.
when it doesn't even matter what I look like. People are drawn to the fact that I am passionate about what it is I'm doing. And that's
Hmm.
what I would say, find that.
Yeah.
I just happened to see that a quadriplegic, a beautiful young, I think she's like 23, and she turned her disability into um, where she could paint with her, she puts a paintbrush in her mouth, and she's been making the most beautiful paintings, and she's now selling them. She never would have thought about doing that before.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think she
great.
lives up in I'm not sure where she lives, but I just thought, wow, look at she's really accomplished a lot, and she feels so confident that she's able to now sell her paintings, and they're really pretty.
And I think in the beginning, we put the emphasis on the things that we want to do based on what we did before our injury.
Yeah.
Everything was much more physical. You ran, you walked, you jumped, you did all these things. And now you're having to do things differently, and you haven't quite figured out how to do that. But as Ellen says, anything is possible. And it's really amazing to see that the majority of the people really are supportive and want to be helpful, in certain situations when they see you can't get in or whatever, and, you know, same thing. I went to see this little concert at an old bar years ago. There was this flight of steps that was very tall and very steep. And my cousin was there, and he went and got all these other guys, and they carried me up that flight of stairs. And it was a little scary going down because they were all semi-drunk at that point, but we got me down safely.
The
Oh
risks
dear.
we take. Now,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
absolutely. And it is, I mean, it's always tough. It's tough for anybody to maintain a sense of self and a strong sense of identity. Going out, here's the worst thing to do. The worst thing to do is to stay at home and let the cycle repeat, right?
Oh
It
yeah.
it
Right.
once you get into that cycle, it's hard to get out. So I always say you're not going to ever get over your disability.
Mhm.
Don't, that's all bullshit.
Right.
Nobody gets
No,
over
absolutely
what
not.
happens to them. We move
Yeah.
through it. And as we move through it, we gain skills and knowledge. And as you move through it, you move through it at one step at a time. Sometimes it's one step forward, sometimes it's two step back, but you
Yeah.
get up, you shower one day, right? And then the next day you get up and you shower and you eat and you go outside for 10 minutes. It's
Yeah.
one step at a time, and eventually
Absolutely.
you'll look back and realize like, holy smokes,
Wow.
I can't, like, how did I get this far? And it
Hmm.
just, and be patient with yourself and cry. It's okay to cry. Cry.
Absolutely.
Eat Haagen-Dazs. Mourn, the
Whatever.
changes. Yeah, whatever you want.
Punch a
Mourn the
pillow.
changes.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And And the
that
thing
would
is,
be.
I think what's extremely helpful now when you're newly disabled is that you have all of these different forms of media where you can meet people, where you can see what people are out there doing, where you can talk to people in group settings and all of that and learn from each other. And you see, these guys flipping their wheelchairs, in WBMX races and all these other, I mean, to me, they're insane things, but it's like, wow, how cool that, he can still do that, not for me, but, whatever it is that you're into, I'm sure there's, ways that, you can adapt to do that particular
And
sport or
I'm looking forward to the Paralympics after the regular
yeah,
ones are over, because those people in chairs, the things they can do, like our friend Dean McCabe, he won a gold
mm-hmm,
medal in Sydney, Australia, playing quad rugby in year 2000. I didn't
yeah.
know this, but he named his daughter Sydney after Sydney, Australia. I just found that
Well,
out yesterday.
that's
He
great.
mentioned that in a Zoom meeting,
Yeah,
but
I
he has a gold medal.
very
And
cool.
that,
Very nice.
yeah, and a daughter and a partner, and
And the
it is,
sun and
There's,
yeah, it is
he
yeah,
amazing. It is amazing when you go to the groups. So you make such a
oh
great
yeah,
point, Michelle, about I mean, when I was injured, there were not really a lot of groups, right? You're lucky
no,
if
not
you could find one somewhere. But I will say the most empowering thing to me was Steve. I still remember his name. Why were we in this? We were in the same hospital. We couldn't have been in the same room, but maybe back then they
yeah.
put, people together.
We're not still.
I feel like, oh no, Steve was dating my roommate. She had Guillain-Barré, and Steve was in a chair, and they had
oh
met, and they were dating. And I never really talked to him a lot, but seeing him date and he was he was a roofer, and he would always just butt up to the roof and slooch around and do the roofing with his
Wow.
company. And so just meeting him really was my first, like, I was still in the hospital and thought my life was
Yeah,
over, but that
yeah,
exposure opened up so many possibilities. And so when you can go into
absolutely.
groups like the Triumph groups, that some are virtual, some are live. I mean, I always encourage live is amazing. Go to sports
Yes.
festivals, whatever is around you, find people. That is because what you realize is that they are who they are. Michelle is Michelle and has a
Absolutely.
disability. Mickie is Mickie and has a disability, but you realize that what defines the person
Mhm.
is the person, and that the disability is part of that. I never deny that I have a
Absolutely.
disability, but it's like having blue eyes. It doesn't define me. It's just it's
Yeah.
part of me. I embrace it, but there's so much more. Unfortunately, society wants to just see the disability, and they will pat you on the
Yep.
head,
Yeah.
talk
Exactly.
to you loud, and treat you like you're
That's,
stupid, and that,
yeah,
you know,
patronize you.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
They'll
hard in life.
patronize you and say, "Oh, aren't you doing well for being in a wheelchair?" You know, they say things like that all the time. You're doing
Yeah.
so well. You're doing great. By the way, I'm just going to say, Triumph Foundation always has events going on. You know, whether it be in Orange County or the Valley or Inland Empire, there's always
Mhm.
something going on, and that's a great way to meet other people that are
Yeah.
disabled. And a lot of friendships are formed that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And another, I think one of the bigger issues with being seen as disabled first and not a person, you know, um, and I find it more with women than with men, is that some of them have totally given up on thinking that they can even have a relationship with a partner or get married. They've kind of put that out of their head. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, even though you could tell that it's something that they wish they could do. And and I've talked to a couple of women, and it's like, I mean, what's the problem? You're outgoing, you have a great personality, blah blah blah, and I'm sure, if you really wanted to. And the hard thing is putting yourself out there, to meet someone. And I just, and if that's kind of your goal, I mean, don't give up trying to meet someone. You definitely have to put yourself out there. And I tell people is that you have to be approachable
Yeah,
and
like Ellen said, it's all about your confidence. If
a
people can
confidence.
see, yeah,
Exactly. So, if you're closed off and don't pick your head up, well, nobody's going to take
not
interest because
going.
you don't look like you want to interact with anyone. But if you're, you know, sitting there and you're smiling and you're looking at different people, it's like you're inviting someone to come say hello. And so, yeah, so, that disability first is a killer.
He's killing my arm the other way. He's laying on my arm, my little dog.
Yeah,
It is. And Black Olive Olivia said she got to see you, Mickey, at the Rollettes. And again, the Rollettes, an amazing organization. Seeing people going, they're dancing. When I was first injured, I didn't think I could dance, and now I dance like a crazy person.
that's right. Yeah.
I hate that it draws attention. It drives me crazy. That like what I hate, and what always people think, they think they're giving you positive attention by drawing
Yeah.
attention to you doing something normal.
Yeah.
That's not positive attention to me. That's just
Not at all.
pointing out like, and that bothers me
Yeah.
more than anything. I just want to dance with my girlfriends.
yeah,
If we're all going out, I just want to go dance, and I don't
Yeah.
want to become the center of, oh my
Mhm.
god, it's like, stop making a big deal about it. Like,
Yeah.
as Beck Olive said, these are the days of our lives. We go out and we buy peas, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're at the grocery store?" Yeah, I grocery
You're
shop.
shopping?
I eat.
Yeah. Or
They just,
great
and
one is
that's,
like, how did you get here? It's like, I drove.
I
you can't
know.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and that's where the media comes in. The more that we see people with various disabilities, various diversity differences, just doing everyday things, not stories about disability, but stories about people, and they just happen to have a disability, the more it'll normalize it. But it just gets tiresome, I think. And then you're just like, ugh, there
All
you
right,
go. Take
but
your shirt
Olive,
off.
this is a PG show, all right? Keep it clean.
No, but that is that. Like, I mean, I feel like sometimes you're like, here, you want to see me do something amazing? Watch
That's
me
right,
ram my
exactly.
car into yours. Um,
What?
and then see how much you like me,
Let
how
me
inspiring I am when I run you over.
let me hit you
Uh,
in the shins with my chair and see. Yeah.
Oh, that's the best part. You run people over and they apologize to you.
You're right. Yeah.
Oops,
And it's,
sorry.
oh, yeah, right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, I just ran you over because you're an idiot.
Yeah, because you're
Um,
my.
because you're in my way. That's the thing. But that pride, I think, for me has grown in that, um, a honestly, everybody will experience disability. This is
Mhm.
not a difference. It is a state of being that personally, everybody that's born is disabled by the environment. You can't
Mm-hmm.
eat your own food. You
Oh yeah.
can't do anything. You are severely disabled as a baby, right? And then we
Mm-hmm.
learn and
Yeah.
we adapt with whatever we have. If you are born without hands, you figure out how to do things with your feet,
Whatever.
right?
Yeah.
Kids don't even know they're different until they go to school
Mm-hmm.
and somebody says, you know,
Oh, you're different. Yeah.
and then you're
Mm-hmm.
different. Like we don't,
Yeah.
we're just people using what we have. And I think if you are born with an impairment or acquire one, it's really sort of taking assessment of
Mm-hmm.
what do I have, what do I need, and how do I get what I want to do. And if that's equipment, if that's people, because again, independence isn't doing it alone, it's getting the job done. So if I need people to get something off the
Mm-hmm.
shelf for me, I will enlist people. And that really, I think it creates that equity idea, that mindedness that we all have impairments, but we're
Mm-hmm.
really only disabled by the environment and attitudes.
Yeah. And I
Disability
would
is
add, you know what? Don't pass up an opportunity to educate someone, you know, to give them information, give them the truth, you know. That's the only way you kind of start to break barriers, where you show people that, you know, what you're thinking is not correct, or what you're saying is offensive. You know, we had a meeting a while back in one of our groups, and this woman actually worked for a rehab, um, but had been doing it for, you know, 30 years or whatever. And she's talking and she's using these, I can't remember the specific word, but it was, you know, one of those old derogatory terms that we don't use anymore. And I looked at her and I looked at everybody in the group, and everybody just kind of like, okay, you've been doing this for 30 years and you're addressing us in such a way. And, you know, I told her, oh, you know what, excuse me, before we go any further, I said, I don't mean to be rude, but this word is no longer used. It's seen as, you know, derogatory and offensive. And she was like, oh my God, you know, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I always try to take the opportunity to learn new things, you know, when I'm in groups. And it's like, really, lady, 30 years later? And so
that
yeah, and when it comes to parking, when it comes to access, if you go somewhere, you know, it's like, really, you shouldn't have all those high chairs on the way to the bathroom at the restaurant because I can't get through, or whatever it is, you know, having to do with access, with the way you're treated. Another big one is like, you know, you go to a restaurant that's full and there's this big line, right, kind of a thing, and I come along, and there are times where they go through the whole list and they still haven't sat me because they don't have an accessible table for me. On the other hand, there's that realize I can only sit in certain tables, so they call me as soon as one of those tables is up, and not, you know, have me go through the whole cycle and stuff. So, you know, you need to let people know that, you know what, this isn't right. This is what, you know, what you need to do. This is appropriate, and you need to consider that I'm here and I can only eat at two of your tables.
Michelle does it so much nicer than I do. No, I
Yeah.
try to be nice. It's hard not to, as
I
Black Olive says.
I
Sometimes
Well,
know.
the
it depends. If
sarcasm.
it has to do with parking, then you use whatever terms you choose to use. But if
I
you're
say
more,
that,
you know, a
yeah.
business establishment, you kind of try to be a little more
Well,
polite.
yes. I just, I had an incident with AAA, and they told me that they couldn't help me, that I should call an ambulance. And
What? Oh my
I said,
God.
I'm not sick. I'm not hurt. My car is broken down. Um, I need my car. And they're like, but we can't get you in a tow truck. You'll need to call an ambulance. I'm like, you can get me in
That's
the
insane.
it was pretty crazy, and I did go off. My daughter's like, "I can't." I'm like, "Here's the thing. Here disability is not disease, right?
Not at all.
My
Right.
impairment, as Mickey, you just said, you have a bed sore, and that's why you're in this position. But you feel great, right? But you're taking care.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
this
That's right.
idea that because I have a disability, I need an ambulance, or that you can't meet my needs because it's a medical,
Yeah.
like that's that blown out of proportion crazy crap that keeps
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
from being creative and figuring out how to help people and support
But
people. And I tried to educate, and then the woman was yelling at me, and I'm like, look, I'm just telling you, you have to provide me with the same service you do any other AAA customer. You can't tell me to go to an ambulance. That's
you need
against
an
the law.
ambulance.
And she's like, are you
Absolutely.
threatening me? And I'm like, no, I'm just telling you the
Telling you,
facts.
yeah, right?
Get me a
Exactly.
freaking tow truck and we'll figure out how they're going to get me to where I need to go when I get the tow truck. But right now it's 102 and pretty soon I am going to need an ambulance because I can't sit on the
Exactly.
side of the 5 freeway in 102 feet degrees for very long. So,
Yeah.
just do your
I
job.
just had
But
a parking situation this past weekend. There were 50 handicap parking spots. There wasn't an available one. So I went to a far lot, got 2 spots, parked in an angle, got out of my car. And then, of course, the
Yep.
security comes around. You're not going to leave your vehicle like that, are you? I'm like, yes. I'm driving. I need to be able to get in and out of my car and all of that. And there are no handicap spots. And he's telling me, well, that lot way over there is
No.
completely empty. You can go
Oh,
park over there. And I'm like,
wow.
you realize I'm in a wheelchair? You're going to make me park way over there and push myself in this weather, because you don't think it's allowed. And I told him, you know what? It's not against the law to take 2 spots, blah, blah, blah. And then
Not it. No,
he was still
no.
being a jerk. And I said, okay, I'm going to go talk to your manager and tell him you're being an asshole. So I went to talk to the
Wow.
manager, and she's like, okay.
I
She's
have what
the
Live to
minute I
Roll.
started saying, she's like, okay. She's like, I'll talk to him. And I'm like, okay, good. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
what's the problem? Yeah.
AAA's manager called me back. No, that's not how we treat people. It's okay. But that's why I thank you, Live to Roll. And I will say this if you don't have one, print out that piece of paper that has
Yes.
the law that you are allowed to park in 2
Yes.
spaces. Because
Yes.
when I have done it, I have people, somebody left a note, don't you know how to park? Your car's not that nice. I'm like,
Yeah.
look at it.
Idiots.
Seriously, if you look at my car, there's no driver's seat. Like, if you look in the window, you might understand why I'm in 2
Exactly.
spots. I carry around little blue cones with me to sit off the bed. Yeah. So it is just really
Yeah.
education. But that little piece of paper saves me so much because I pop it in my window that says
I
Yeah.
do too.
right
I've
there.
I've done that too. That's really
Mm-hmm.
worked well. In fact, Sean needs to let people know about that. But Ellen, I was going to tell
Really
you,
out there.
several years ago, I had to be towed by AAA, and they did have a wheelchair lift. They probably have one truck in the whole Southern California area. But yeah, they had a wheelchair lift. They were able to take me home
Oh, that's
and tow
awesome.
my. Yeah, it was great. Several years
It is
ago. I
awesome.
don't know if they still have it.
I
I
don't know
like
if
that.
you guys can. Ooh, too far. This is I don't think you can see it. Sorry.
Could see it a little bit. I saw it a little bit, and then you come down, but it just says,
Mm-hmm.
it's why I park and just print it out. I keep
Working.
it in my
Yes, there
car.
is.
I keep one in my purse if I'm with friends who
Yeah.
have to park and I'm using my placard. It's so important. And Black Olive says, moving stuff loud. Yes, I will use my chair like a battering ram and just push
Oh,
the chair
yeah.
out of my way. Oh,
To get through.
sorry, just going
Mm-hmm.
through. Oh, did that scratch the chair? Like, think about it first. You shouldn't even have it there. And why do
Yeah.
I have to go? Oh, the other one is the little elevators, guys, right? You have to go find somebody that can operate the little
Oh my
elevator
God.
to take you up 2 feet. Um,
Yeah.
so it's
It's like,
so
where's the key? We need the key. Who has the key?
nobody has the key.
And then it's
I
like, okay,
literally,
don't push the buttons. I'll push the buttons.
yeah,
So
and all of
ridiculous.
that makes it hard to maintain your pride, right?
Yeah.
When you are
Hmm.
treated with disdain, when you are treated like a
Yeah.
child, when you are treated like helping you is a bother, it is really difficult to maintain that confidence. But that's when you have to realize it's them. It really
Yeah.
is that case. It's
Absolutely.
them, it's not you. It's their insecurities, their
Absolutely.
ignorance. It is
Yeah.
truly them. And some days you might want to educate, and other days you might just want to not. And I mean,
Yell and
yeah.
curse them out.
I,
That's right.
have you ever gotten there? Like, I am at fatigue. I'm like, the ADA was passed several years ago, right?
34
30,
years. Yeah.
34 years ago.
Hmm.
You should know better by now. I am tired of coming places and it not being accessible. I
Yeah.
am I am tired of looking for a hotel room that's
Oh,
accessible that has more than an
Yeah.
88 one king bed, right?
Yeah.
One king freaking bed. I'm like, I
That's
don't want
right.
to sleep with all my friends. I
Are you
want
right?
beds.
Do
I
a couple
really
of
don't
beds.
want to be sharing a bed with my daughter and her partner.
Yeah.
2 beds, and I'd like to be able to pee. So it shouldn't be a
Yeah.
choice I have to make.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, about the ADA, yeah, 34 years ago, woohoo, a lot of changes happened, especially in the beginning. Everybody was so aware, and now it's like nobody even thinks about it anymore. And reason being is that there is no enforcement. There is no agency that goes around to hotels or restaurants or whatever. So we're the one doing the policing and having to, call somebody, talk to the manager, go through this whole thing, and then so forth. Then you have to go to a lawyer, and it's like whatever they, are have to pay or whatever they pay it rather than making things accessible. So it doesn't
Yeah.
change the price. You may get, but but you know,
Yeah, and then you get then you get to get that confirmation bias. See, I told you those disabled people were bitchy. Look, they're complaining. Look, they're bitchy
exactly
disabled
right.
people. And then you're like, now you have to like, I am not the bitchy disabled person. Right? Well, actually my friends always called me BW, bitchy disabled woman. BDW. Like, just go be a BDW. We'll get a better seat. Go be the BDW. If you complain, they'll get and it does work, but it's that balance of why do I have to educate? Why do
Be the
I
one.
have to do it?
Yeah,
And because you're making it better for other people. And so if you're young and
absolutely.
new and disabled and you feel like you want to drive your car into somebody, just take a deep breath and understand
That's right.
they're
Yeah.
ignorant and we
And
can
especially in the
educate.
beginning when you're new, you're afraid to speak up. You're not
Oh yeah.
gonna, be the squeaky wheel and whatever. But once you get a few years on you, you will approach
Oh.
anybody and, let them know what you think. So
Speaking of the squeaky wheel, it's an Instagram account that is really funny. So a very it's called The Squeaky Wheel, and follow them on Instagram. They're just hilarious. They do a lot of tongue in cheek and a lot of satire about disability. So it's just really fun because it really
yeah.
helps you maintain a sense of humor about a lot of the things that you face every day that are really
Oh,
hitting
that's
your
great.
disability pride. And, it's
Yeah.
great that we have Disability Pride Month, but like Gay Pride Month, it's like this is a year round situation. We're
Yeah, it's
disabled
not,
all
yeah.
year. We're gay all year. We 1 month, does not promote diversity, inclusion, and equity. We need to be doing this all the time. And part of that is having the confidence going out there and, operating with a sense of pride in who you are, and who you are includes that disability. And as Mickie said, not always easy in light of the way we were raised, the way the world educates us, and how we're taught it. We're taught to disdain disability. Other groups that have isms, racism, sexism, they distance themselves from being. They have ableism. Like, whoa, we're not just.
Super.
Oh, no, we're not them. Those people, they're the
Yeah,
bottom of the barrel. Oh gosh, no.
exactly. Right.
So we're facing, that collaborative of no, we're
Hmm.
us. We're all us. And that's why
Exactly.
I totally believe that ableism is just the source of all isms. And if we look at that idea that there is a superior way of being and we address that there isn't, we address
Yes,
ableism, we can address all isms.
absolutely. Yeah.
Not that I'm ranting or anything.
Okay, yeah, Leah's brought to mention that they do have that placard notice up on the website. So go to the Live to Roll website and you will find that on there. Print it out, keep it in your car.
Yeah, it's great. And put one in your chair. Like I keep one in I have the Yamaha Navi Assist that I put in a backpack, and I just have my placard and one of those in my backpack so that no matter where I am, I can show that to people, because people will
Yeah,
question you, especially if you're not driving a van, right? So I
yeah,
drive a little Scion, and when I used to drive a Mustang convertible, people come over and yell at me, "You can't park here," and I'd be like,
yeah,
"You see the wheelchair in the back
yeah,
seat sticking out of the
exactly,
convertible? That's mine. So I think I can park here." Um,
exactly.
People just, because they don't see convertible and wheelchair or Scion and everybody has the same thing. We all look the same. We all do the same
No,
thing. We
not
are
at
all
all.
the same. And it's so much further than the truth. We're
Absolutely.
all
Yeah,
individuals. We may
yeah,
share a similar impairment, but we're all individuals, and that's the big
absolutely.
thing. Um,
Just to comment on Black Olives, you can curse whenever you want, my dear, and you and your bat are welcome anytime, okay? She said she'll
yes.
show up with her bat to tell them what's up.
Well, Judy, it was all Judy Human in Section 504 that they did all show up, right? She
Yeah,
raised the bat signal, and they showed up, and they were the beginning of the ADA by making those changes. And it
Absolutely.
is only by coming together and developing a pride in our community,
Exactly.
really owning our disability pride, that we
Yeah.
will come together and exact changes. It
Hmm.
is, and the entire system, I will just tell you, the entire government system of SSDI, SSI is designed to keep you ashamed and keep you
Keep you.
disincentivized to go out
Yes.
there and make differences, because they keep you
Absolutely.
trapped on a system, which then impacts your sense of self and your sense of
Yeah.
purpose. And then you end up being stuck at home or not able to work and contribute. And so it's really, to me, there used to be the ugly laws. And I think I talked about this before, that where if you were so maimed or diseased as to be seen as uh, displeasing to the
Oh yeah.
eye, that you couldn't be on
Yes.
the street, right?
Oh yeah.
A lot of our government situations, these disincentives, are designed to keep people off the street. And how, if we don't get pride and fight these, we are
Yes.
never going to go out there and get the equitable
Mhm.
opportunities. And
Yeah.
so I really, 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 really welcome, Andrew. Thank you for coming from, you are still a baby with your seven
Okay.
years. Sorry.
Okay.
Uh, your baby was 7 years compared to us oldies. But uh, how is the UK? I've been to the UK a couple of times. I did find the one thing about traveling to other countries is people are generally more willing to help, less worried about being sued for liability, and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, yeah," especially Australia. Like, no worries, mate. No worries,
Yeah.
mate. We'll take you up that cliff. No worries, mate. We'll take you in the middle of the
Yeah.
desert. Like, okay, that's not where I want to go. But yeah, that sense of pride is hard when systems and attitudes continually reinforce that you're deficient. That idea that
Hmm.
disability is equitable to deficient, as opposed to disability being equitable to being a diverse need, and everybody has diverse needs.
Yeah. And I mean, you think back, it hasn't been that long where people with disabilities were institutionalized. People didn't want you out and about. They didn't want you getting educated, didn't want you working, didn't want you out there at all. And there was a lot of shame in families, oh my God, nobody had to know that you had a disabled child or whatever it was way back when. And
Oh,
I mean, thank God that's changed, but we still have a long way to come. A long way to come to be inclusive and, seen as normal, contributing citizens, in
yeah,
this world. We bring light and love and work and all kinds of things to this world. And they just have to let us, they have to open those doors to allow us
yeah.
to
And
be.
Andrew talked about getting, couldn't park because he was in a convertible. It's like, you don't understand. If I don't have that crosshatch in my convertible, I can't open my door wide enough
There
to get
you
my
go.
chair out to get in my chair. I don't just need a ramp to have the crosshatch. I actually literally have to be able to get a wheelchair
Hmm.
next to my seat. And that means the door has to open all the way, which means that's what those blue lines
Yeah.
are for. They're
But
not
you're
for other people with
disabled. You can't
disabilities.
drive a cool car,
Oh, that's true.
right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then you get enough of those messages, and of course, your pride is damaged. Of course, your sense of self
Absolutely.
is damaged. We
Hmm.
are having to work twice as hard to maintain a positive identity. And it's tiresome. I mean, that's when we
Yeah.
Black Olive, you just want to go F off, and, and just open your mind a little bit. And people disparage us. People say things like, it costs too much for you to live. I mean, and this, I know, Andrew, in the UK,
Yeah.
there are a lot of hate crimes against disability in the
Wow.
UK. So when I teach disability studies, we talk about issues that go on in some other countries, because they see people with disabilities as taking from the system, and that their lives are not valued enough.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've had senators here say the same thing, that the cost of a
Hmm.
life for a quad is really not worth it because of the medical and et
Hmm.
cetera. So why don't we just kill them? I mean, I just
And
read a
like, and
report.
you're a moron, so why don't we do the same to you?
Yeah,
It's like, why,
right.
why are
So,
you allowed to, live your life, to breathe air, to,
yeah,
be whatever?
but because
Yeah.
I need a wheelchair and some additional medical care, you want to say that I am not contributing?
Yeah.
Again, you contribute every day, whether it's just to your family, just to your neighborhood, just
Hmm.
wherever.
Yeah.
You're a contributing individual making a difference in the sphere that you operate in,
Mhm.
and your voice deserves to be heard. I think that's the biggest thing about
Absolutely.
pride.
Yeah. And I think the most hurtful thing that someone could say is, I don't care. When you're talking to them about something that they're doing wrong, that they're in the hash marks, in the disabled spot that you need, and you get this asshole that comes out and says, you tell them, and they just say, I don't care. And they just, I till it out of there. It's like, wow. It just mind blowing that, this day and age that there are people that are so ignorant and
That's when
so
I lose control of
self-centered
my
and
wheelchair and accidentally run into their car. Oops.
there you go, right?
I
Yeah.
don't care, that's right, I can't control
Yeah.
my chair. I don't know how I
Yeah.
scraped the entire side of your
But he'd
Corvette.
probably be the type that would back up over you. So it's like sometimes you just kind of have to pick your fights.
Well, sometimes depending on the car, if it's a really good car, you can hit me and knock me I'll fall out of my chair and really be hurt,
That's
and then,
right.
I can
Exactly.
finance my way around the world now.
There you
The
go.
cobbled streets in Rome. I was just in, Greece, and the cobbled streets, Andrew can yeah. Whew, cobbled streets are
Yeah.
hard. I respect history, and I respect, and I know if I'm going to another country, that is where that third wheel, and if Sean or anybody remembers the name of that third wheel, um, yeah, well, thank you, Black Olive. Try not to bring politics in, but he said that childless people are not invested in the future. And I mean, I read a report that Trump told his nephew that perhaps his disabled son should have been killed. I don't know if these are
Yeah.
true or
Whatever.
not, and I'm trying to avoid politics, but it is gross when people make a judgment on the value of other people's lives, whether they are making that value based on their sex, their gender,
Yeah.
their ability, their religion. Anytime anybody devalues an individual's life because of some stereotype or
Yeah.
preconceived notion, I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, it's wrong.
And they're
It's
making
wrong.
assumptions on people they don't even know. I just, when they called on the cat ladies, Black Olive, I hurt for you, my dear, because you're one of the most awesome and motivated and proactive and hardworking cat ladies I know. So
Yeah,
pride to
and
all the
you're
cat
doing things
ladies
out
out
there.
there.
And Gen Z, my daughter's generation, they don't want to have kids because of the cost. They don't even know if they can have affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, like, you can't make a judgment on the choices people are making.
No,
Um,
you can't.
they're making them for, yeah, it's just
For you. Yeah.
pride is yeah, I can't get in them. Yeah, meow. I am with you, all the cat ladies.
Yeah.
If Taylor Swift just will, get everybody out there to
Yeah.
again have your voice heard, have your
Absolutely.
voice heard. Look at
Mhm.
legislation, look at
Yeah.
how they're dismantling the ADA because it has no teeth. Look at
Yes.
those local policies that are saying, well, they can't be like, look at those things that are actively discriminating against individuals, whether they
Absolutely.
have disabilities or not, because then you get a sense of pride that you are creating a better space for people, and that again gives you back to that
Absolutely.
confidence, right? That confidence that I am making the world better, not only for myself, but for
Mhm.
others, that I am educating, I am supporting, I am out there trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
Because we need to create equity for everybody. And
Absolutely.
demeaning, name calling, shaming, blaming is just so much crap that, and disabled people get it all the time. Kids from the time because they're taught that they're different. The minute a kid
Yes.
is seen as different from their peers, they have to face bullying, not only from the other students, but from teachers, from the media, from society. And then that's how we
Other adults.
develop
Yeah.
internalized ableism.
Mhm. Yeah. So get out there, show your confidence, your pride. The more of us that are out there doing day to day things and having fun and working and being involved, the stronger our pride grows, the stronger we are seen as a group. So get out there and show your pride.
That's what I would say. And again, Andrew talks about, going to Norway, talking to them about their streets, seeing the Northern Lights, going to Germany. When you travel, whether it's to your local grocery store or to another country,
Yeah.
when you get out there and people can see that bump, that curb, that street has impeded somebody they now have a personal connection to, they're more likely to
Absolutely.
change. It's getting out there and
Absolutely.
getting out there with pride. I think that
Hmm.
as we wrap it up, really, disability pride is about just living your life, just living your
Absolutely.
life and not being ashamed to do it, however you choose to do it.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say.
All
I wanna
right.
All right. I want to thank Black Olive,
Absolutely.
Leah, everybody else. We have 11 people out there today. Andrew, I know Leon, you were out there too. I'm trying to go back up to people that were Leah. Thank you. We really appreciate you guys all coming. Please spread the word. We're trying to get bigger. We're getting out there, but we really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we look forward to talking about travel next
Next
September.
month.
I'm not sure what the first Thursday is, but it'll be the first Thursday in September. We will be
Yes.
talking about travel, and I'll get to share my experiences in Greece. And then we have some amazing sponsors that Sean will put up for us, and
All
Michelle will
right.
share who they are because I know. There you go.
All right. Sponsored by mobility professionals and urology professionals. Thank you to all of you for your sponsorship and all of you out there who utilize their services and, just they help us to promote the show, to provide more information to other people who are disabled. And without them, we can't have a show.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, mobility professionals, urology professionals. Thank you, Michelle and Mickey. I know you're having
Yes,
trouble with your iPad and stuff, and heal, 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 heal. And
absolutely.
everybody else out there, have a great week and try to stay cool. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Take care, Mickey. We'll see you soon.
All right.